here with Larry Shepard of Simcoe. It's nice to talk with you, sir. Thanks for your time. So what do you have here at the Expo today? Anything special?
I usually bring a lot of collector coins because this is the Whitman Baltimore shows are one of the top collector shows, oriented shows of the year, and especially with this time of year when the show set is rather sparse. This is always a good bellwether show. It's always well attended. As we can see right now in the crowd, there's a good crowd of people walking around. They like to walk around and shop, and then usually a day or two later they come back and buy. So I try to bring coins that I know based on my experience of being at this show that people are looking for. I've been doing this show since the early 90s, so we're coming up on 30 years. And so you get a pretty good feel of who's here and what they're looking for. And that's what I brought.
Well, 30 years is quite a while, and you've seen a lot of things happen since the early 90s, I'm sure, in the hobby. Do you have anything special here today that you want to talk about? Any special coins or maybe one or two highlights here in the cases?
Well, I specialize a lot in the tone-proof Indian cents, which is not something that most dealers here on the floor will have because they're very hard to come by. And it's something I have for many years personally collected myself, but at the same time I have a lot of collectors who look for them as well. So, and this is one of the shows where I do get several people coming in looking for that type of merchandise. So I probably bring more of that on a relative basis here than I would into other shows. But that's primarily what I have out on display now. I've got some type material, some commemoratives, but a lot of pennies.
Well, you know your audience, I would think, after all those years. Now, you've been involved for quite a long time, obviously, in the hobby. Larry, how did you get your start in coin collecting?
I started collecting when I was 10 years old because I lived next door to a grocery store, and the grocer there was kind enough to pull out of his cash box the Buffalo nickels and Standing Liberty quarters at the end of the day, and Mercury dimes and so forth, and let me look through them. So that was a good start. One of my favorite stories is that I got involved. I got interested in collecting because somewhere along the line, someone gave me a 2 or 3 year old red book, and like kids are at that age, I got interested, and I would study through that book and look at the pictures of coins that I'd never seen before or didn't know existed. I'd read the manages and things, but the coin that always fascinated me was the 1804 silver dollar, because at that point in time, I couldn't imagine any coin being worth that kind of money. As a poor kid growing up, I couldn't visualize a coin that had sold in the 1950s for $28,000. Of course, now it's a $4 or $5 million coin, but even then, $28,000 seemed like $28 billion. And every time I would get that red book out, I would turn to the page that talked about the 1804 silver dollars, and I would fantasize about wouldn't it be cool to see one or to hold one, never believing actually at that time that it would occur. Well, fast forward about 50 years, and a few years ago, I was walking through the Salt Lake City airport on my way to Portland, Oregon to an A&A show. And as I was walking through the airport, I reached down and I patted my pocket, which is something as a dealer I've trained myself to do over the years. When someone hands me a coin and I can't immediately turn around and lock it up, I stick it in my pocket, and I train myself to every minute or so I pad my pocket just to see what's there. So I was walking through the Long Beach or the Salt Lake City airport, and I patted my pocket, and it suddenly occurred to me that I had that 1804 silver dollar in my pocket that I had fantasized about for years and years as a kid. And it literally gave me goosebumps. So that's part of the excitement of the hobby, growing up as a kid and dreaming about these things and actually being able to live it out.
It shows the hobby really is a lifetime passion, and you can take with you forever.
Well, that's true. I think, and as you see most of the advanced collectors today, they are people who started out like I did. We got started finding coins in circulation prior to silver coins or wheat pennies going out of circulation in the 60s. And you stick them in your Whitman albums, and then we got older and we get married and we have other responsibilities and things that we use our money for, and so people drop out of the hobby, and then as they get older and their kids start growing up and they have disposable income, they come back in, and that seems to be the life cycle of most advanced collectors. That was my life cycle, and I started collecting again when I was in my 30s, and eventually traded my career for a career behind the table instead of in front of the table at a later date.
And living the dream.
It's a dream, yeah. And most people never lose it. I mean, I enjoy this business and this hobby as much today as I did 30 or 40 years ago. I still enjoy everything I do.
Well, Larry, thank you for the inspiring story that you just told. Really appreciate that, and wishing you all the best for the show here this weekend. Thank you again.
You again. Thank you. I appreciate it.